Welcome to the first annual Solid Ween episode of the Other Discovery Show, brought to you by the Podcast Discovery Show. And I don't know why I sound British all of a sudden.
It started sounding Australian somewhere in there too. So it was great. I really enjoyed it.
This is a bonus episode for you guys all about Halloween.
And yeah, I felt like the best place to start with this is essentially how this all started. So apparently this was a pagan festival that at least in the 8th century, probably older than that, called Samhain, that was designated as a time to ward off ghosts. And they would sit around bonfires and they would wear costumes to try and scare off ghosts. And in the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as a time to honor all saints. Soon, All Saints' Day incorporated some of the traditions of Samhain. The evening before was known as All Hallows' Eve, and then over time, it became Halloween. And then now it's obviously different. You know, now it's very different than where it started. But the Celts who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that's now Ireland, celebrated this, and what they would do is they would all dress up. And I believe that this was like the end of summer and the harvest, and was the beginning of dark, cold winter. So it was like a significant time when this was happening. And they would all dress up as like ghosts or demons or something like that. And apparently they had something called mumming, where they would like kind of act goofy and do things like that. And then they would trade gifts for that, and they think that might be like some of the origins of trick-or-treating. But earlier than that, there was huge sacred bonfires, and they would burn crops and sacrifices and things like that, and they would wear costumes like it was a big pagan celebration that was essentially reappropriated when Christianity moved into the area. So essentially they took something that was like a pagan thing, but then by the 9th century Christianity had spread over there, and they kind of turned that into a day to honor the dead and not to like celebrate any kind of a pagan holiday. But then essentially there was rigid Protestant belief systems in the early Americas. But essentially it was common in Maryland and the southern colonies because just this was a very old festival and things like that. So from the very early parts of America, there was already some of these celebrations. And colonial Halloween.
I'm sorry, I looked at the camera and saw your face.
You saw my face?
Yeah, I looked at my own face as well. I was like, oh God, we look like idiots. If we sound a little bit funny on the podcast, we have masks on because
we are wearing masks.
This is a special recording live, and it'll be on YouTube about our Solidween Spectacular.
Yeah, it'll be around.
But yeah, we talked about this earlier today. It's so weird how almost all of our celebrations that we have today are Protestant celebrations that were basically in what would you call it? Opposition to most of the time a pagan celebration?
Yeah, no, it was just reappropriating pagan celebrations, you know, because there was like when the rise of Christianity happened, they essentially didn't want it to be like a pagan celebration, but they still wanted to like celebrate like a holiday. But yeah, no, it kind of took off in America the same way, where essentially when new immigrants came here, a lot of Irish immigrants came in the 19th century, and they helped get everything going over here, and Halloween became very popular.
That is fascinating. Also, I found out about where jack-o'-lanterns originated from. So there's actually a legend. I believe it's Irish. Yes, it is. And it's the legend of Stingy Jack.
Stinky?
So people have been making Stingy with a G. Stingy. He's very stingy. People have been making jack-o'-lanterns at Halloween for centuries. The practice actually originated from an Irish myth about a man named Stingy Jack. According to the story, Stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him. That seems like a bad idea. It starts off bad right off the beginning. True to his name, Stingy Jack didn't want to pay for his drink, so he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin that Jack had used to buy their drinks. Hey, devil, turn into a coin so I can buy my drink. Nice. Once the devil did so, Jack decided to keep the money and put it into his pocket next to a silver cross, which prevented the devil from changing back into his original form. Jack eventually freed the devil under the condition that he would not bother Jack for 1 year, and that should Jack die, he would not claim his soul. That's a
pretty good deal.
The next year, Jack again tricked the devil into climbing into a tree to pick a piece of fruit. While he was, I love how the devil was so easy to
I know. How are these
trick.
People inviting the devil out for a drink?
And isn't this like the trickiest being in ever? Like,
yeah,
this is the devil.
Have we not gotten to the tricky
tricks,
part?
Right?
Is this like a long con?
While he was up in the tree, Jack carved a sign of the cross into the tree's bark so that the devil could not come down until the devil promised Jack not to bother him for 10 more years. Soon after, Jack died. As the legend goes, God would not allow such an unsavory figure into heaven, but the devil, upset by the trick Jack had played on him and keeping his word not to claim his soul, would not allow him into hell. So he sent Jack off into the dark night with only a burning coal to light his way. Jack put the coal into a carved-out turnip, which our friend from Planthropology did a discovery on this the other day that we talked about, with the turnips being the original jack-o'-lanterns. And he has been roaming the earth ever since. The Irish began to refer to this ghostly figure as Jack of the Lantern, and then simply Jack-o'-lantern. In Ireland and Scotland, people began to make their own versions of Jack's lanterns by carving scary faces into turnips or potatoes and placing them into windows or near doors to frighten away Stingy Jack and other wandering evil spirits. I thought it was a fascinating story of where jack-o'-lanterns came from. And it just sounds like, it literally sounds like the devil went down to Georgia, Irish version, with turnips and potatoes.
Yeah, no, I've seen a turnip jack-o'-lantern, and it is horrifying looking. Like, pumpkins are nothing compared to how disturbing turnips look.
Yeah, no, they're terrifying. Spud-a-lantern, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, trick-or-treating came from kind of some of these pagan rituals, but in the early 1900s, they were essentially working to take all of the creepy, like dressing up like a demon or religious anything out of it. So it was more just about like community and like having parties. And so the 1920s and 30s, it became very popular to have these like community centered holiday parties and like parades and things like that. And essentially they also were doing the trick or treating. It was starting to be a fun way for people to essentially all be able to participate in a giant party, but without having to spend a ton of money. I did see that Americans spend an estimated $6 billion annually on Halloween, making it the country's second largest commercial holiday after Christmas.
I did not know that.
Which explains a little bonus discovery I had here. Have you ever seen a Spirit Halloween store?
Only during Halloween time.
Yeah, that pops up in every abandoned building in the entire U.S. during this. I'm guessing that's why. Because it's a $6 billion like event that
it's
literally goes for one night, essentially. Because it's going to be a rager tomorrow night, because it's on a Saturday this year. So it's going to be, and I mean, there's also COVID.
And there's a full moon. There's like they said there's a blue moon.
There's a blue moon.
Yeah,
which means there's two full moons this month. So there's a special, the 13th blue moon of the year is going to be tomorrow too. But yeah, basically Spirit Halloween, which let me figure out the date on this. I think it was 99. Spirit Halloween is owned by Spencer's.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's Spencer Gifts owns this. And it started out as he tried it in one place. The guy who built this, it started in New Jersey, and in 1983 there was one place. And in 1999 there was 60 places, but then Spencer bought it, and now they have over 1,000 locations across the country. They do not use retail space. So essentially, they have a website that's up all year long, but then during this time of year, They usually take over for 2 to 3 months, from early to mid-August, and usually 2-3 days after Halloween, they shut it down. That's it. They just get in there for 2
like
months.
Fireworks stands.
Yeah, 2 months rent, just selling
bigger
costumes, and then that's it. And it's just this weird thing that always was funny to see, because it's like every abandoned Kmart in your town is going to be filled with
literally our Kmart would always be Spirit Halloween.
Yeah,
that's hilarious
every time. But the other thing that trick-or-treating made me think of is, do you remember when we were kids, everybody always used to warn, like, oh, they're going to put razor blades in the candies. Apparently this is enough of a thing that there is an entire Wikipedia article dedicated to what they call poisoned candy myths. So I'll just read you the beginning of this. Urban legends about malevolent strangers hiding poisons or sharp objects such as razor blades, needles, or broken glass in candy, and distributing the candy in order to harm random children. They're a cautionary tale to children and parents, and repeat 2 themes that are common in urban legends: danger to children and contamination of food. No cases of strangers killing or permanently injuring children this way have been proven. So
zero cases.
Yeah. Commonly, the story appears in the media when a young child dies suddenly after Halloween, and then medical investigations into the actual cause of death have always shown that these children did not die from eating candy given to them from strangers. But however, and this is where it gets slightly darker, but I mean, it's Halloween, it's spooky. However, in rare cases, adult family members have spread this story in an effort to cover up a murder or accidental death.
Jeez. Yeah, that is dark.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things where it got this whole thing going on, but and it's not new either. There was basically, this started in the 1890s and has continued to happen now.
I didn't know it was that old.
Yeah, and it looks like there were, and I think this started a long time ago, but now there is people that are doing it. So it created like copycats.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, it's one of those like urban legends, fake things that people have been scared about, and now people are probably going to do it because people have talked about it for so long.
So do you want to hear some of the ways people have done this? So 1959,
no. Yes and no.
A California dentist, William Shine, gave candy-coated laxative pills to trick-or-treaters. He was charged with outrage of public decency
and
unlawful distribution of drugs.
I didn't do it to children.
I was about to say, are you going to say that you just laxative
technically
children?
I was a child and I did it to another child, but we did that. We were in high school, but we snuck laxatives to each other a few times. It's good fun. It was good fun.
I don't know. This one's weird. So a disgruntled Long Island, New York woman gave out packages of inedible objects to children whom she believed were too old to be trick-or-treating. The packages contained items such as steel wool, dog biscuits, and ant buttons. What's an ant button?
What the freak is an ant button?
I don't know. But which were clearly labeled with the word poison. So I bet it's those ant traps. Though nobody was injured, she was prosecuted and pleaded guilty to endangering children. But the same year, there's like, as soon as these things happen, there's a bunch of fake stories that come out immediately afterwards. But basically, there is a very limited amount of things happening. So basically, it's mostly myth. It's very rare that anything like this has even started to happen. And then there's a bunch of misattributed deaths. So just freaking ridiculous.
Crazy. Fake news has always been around, guys.
Yep.
And it probably always will be.
It always will be.
All right. So Halloween time always reminds me of Dia de los Muertos. You always see a little bit of it. And I'll be honest, I learned a lot about it from freaking when Coco came out. I'm Mexican, but in my family, we've never celebrated this. So I've kind of been fascinated to learn a little bit more about it. Because it's not something that we've ever done. We do a lot of traditional things, like we do stuff during Christmas time and things like that. But for some reason, we've never celebrated Dia de los Muertos. Anyway, Dia de los Muertos originated in ancient Mesoamerica, so Mexico and Central America. where indigenous groups, Aztec, Mayan, and Toltec, had specific times when they commemorated their loved ones who had passed away. And it's a pretty long celebration. It's not just like one day like Halloween. And it's also not the same day as Halloween. It's actually 2 days later. It's November 2nd is the Day of the Dead. But they celebrate different months dedicated to different like age groups of family members, depending on whether adult or a child or things like that. So November 1st is All Saints Day, which I do remember celebrating that as a Hispanic kid going to the Catholic Church when I was younger. November 2nd is All Souls Day, or Dia de los Muertos. I think I did it more on the religious end. I think that's what it was. It's like, I don't know. I don't remember. I was a little kid. But what I found fascinating is it's more of a celebration of life and not death. So they believed that death was part of the journey of life, rather than death being the ending of life. They believed that new life came from death. So this cycle is often associated with the cyclical nature of agriculture, whereby crops grow from the ground where the last crop lies buried. So I thought that was fascinating. And the whole idea of the ofrenda, or like almost like an altar to honor the family members that have passed, is an interesting thing to me. So they place pictures, they put water in a pitcher so that the spirits can quench their thirst. They usually have paper banners representing the wind. Earth is represented by food, especially bread. There's always candles and stuff like that. And I didn't see in here, but I think they talk about it other places about like the sugar skulls are like a thing. You know, we see that as kind of like a very stereotypical thing for Day of the Dead. But I don't know what that thing is, what that's from.
The sugar
here's
skulls?
A little bit about it. Yeah. This last little bit, it says flowers, butterflies, and skulls are typically used as symbols. The cempasúchil, a type of marigold flower native to Mexico, is often placed on ofrendas and around graves. With their strong scent and vibrant color, the petals are used to make paths that lead the spirit from the cemetery to their families' homes. So that's what the flowers are for, is to show a path to the deceased family member to their home. Monarch butterflies play a role in Dia de los Muertos because they are believed to hold the spirits of the departed. This belief stems from the fact that the first monarchs arrive in Mexico from the winter each fall on November 1st, which coincides with Dia de los Muertos. Calaveritas de azúcar, or sugar skulls, along with toys, are left on the altar for children who have passed. So that's for the children. Man, that's sad. The skull is used not as a morbid symbol, but rather as a whimsical reminder of the cyclical... That's an interesting word. Cyclicality. I didn't know that was a word.
Cyclicality. I do like that.
I like it. Cyclicality of life, which is why they are brightly colored. Anyway, this is a Smithsonian article. It's a great article. It gives you facts about Dia de los Muertos, and I want to expose my children to this one day. I want to learn a little bit more about it and maybe try to celebrate it with my children as, you know, their Hispanic heritage.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
As I wear a luchador mask.
Yeah. I feel like that would be a weird move to wear the luchador mask to whatever celebration you go to, but whatever. It seems like it could work. Kind of looks like a sugar skull a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
In a way.
Okay, I need to know what year everybody was born, because Cosmo told me what Halloween costume everyone was wearing the year you were born, so we can find out. So like stuff from the 50s, we have like Alice in Wonderland, Singing in the Rain, Peter Pan. Then in the 60s, we get into like Psycho and Breakfast at Tiffany's, JFK. That's ridiculous. Lucille Ball. And then some Star Trek starts appearing as you move closer to the 70s. Elvis, Willy Wonka. And then you have the Brady Bunch, Jaws, Rocky. And then you start getting to Star Wars era. So 76.
Yeah.
Starts, or 77, Princess Leia was, I'm guessing, basically everybody. Saturday Night Fever. And then we get closer to the 80s when Kirk and I were born. So we have Ghostbusters in 84, 87. So the year I was born, it was RoboCop.
RoboCop, huh?
Yep. And Kirk, you were 88, right?
I was.
Yours is way more badass than RoboCop. It's Garfield.
It's so much. I hate Mondays. And I do love lasagna. Lasagna is great.
No, but then you get into like the Ninja Turtles, Morticia Addams, Jurassic Park. One of these just says a lion from The Lion King. I guess whatever. 97, The Spice Girls. Also just like makes sense. But then I wanted to look at like the 2000s. So 2002, Hermione Granger. 2003, Spider-Man. 2004, Jack Sparrow. Where were you? 90 Twigs? I think that was the Ninja Turtles.
Dude, that was such a good movie.
Yep.
I watched that with my kids, and it was still fun to watch.
Ninja Turtles.
It's cheesy, but that's a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very goofy, but it's great. 2005, the Grey's Anatomy cast. So people really just liked wearing normal clothes and a white doctor's coat.
It's boring.
2006, Guy Fawkes from V for Vendetta. 2007, Hannah Montana. 2008, High School Musical. And then Lady Gaga. Princess Tiana from Princess and the Frog, I guess.
The Lady Gaga one, do you think that everyone just wore meat dresses?
Yeah. You're that other one where it was like, what she wore with like dead Kermits on it, right? And then there was
Don't remember that one.
Sue Sylvester from Glee. Katniss Everdeen. Iron Man. Frozen stuff. Harley Quinn.
Frozen stuff.
I feel like Harley Quinn would be still popular. Stranger Things kids, which is weird because they're children. Wonder Woman. The Nun from what is this movie?
We're talking about kids, right? Most people that are dressing up are children.
He says while we wear masks.
Yeah.
No, I feel like you have to take anything from Cosmo with a grain of salt. But I just thought it was interesting to look at some of that stuff.
No, that is fascinating.
But yeah, everybody keep an eye out tonight because it'll be tonight when this releases. Halloween night, there's a special blue moon. So a special bonus full moon in the month of October. And it will be a great thing to see a full moon when it's spooky times. Although it will not be.
I already took my dog out and
blue.
It's already huge. It's a huge moon. It's big.
But I mean, you won't be able to catch another blue moon on Halloween until 2039. So go check it out. Just go look at the sky tomorrow.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us for our first annual Solidween celebration on the Podcast Discovery Show. This is a specifically special episode just for Halloween for you guys to enjoy. And we will see you guys next year.
No, you can't leave without singing your song. You've sang it all month. You have to sing it to them.
This is Solidween. This is Solidween. Solidween. Solidween.
I've heard that several billion times this month. So everyone else had to hear it too. But yeah, thanks for listening. And we will talk to you next week.
Happy Solidween.
Happy Solidween.